Coach, things obviously got chippy there at the end and emotions were high, but how did the team regroup and find a way to close this out down the stretch?
Yeah, we were able to just kind of hold our composure at that. Bouye's ability to come back in the game and make a couple plays. And Grayson, just his resilience after a tough turnover, play that he obviously wants back. He makes a tough finish. Yeah, we were just able to scrap one out somehow.
72 points in the paint, a new season high for this team. Just what did you like about the way that the team was attacking the paint tonight?
Yeah, after the Miami game, we definitely talked about it. Our inability to get into the paint, try to come up with a couple more solutions. That's on us as coaches. And then Mark's presence. You could feel it from the jump. His ability, try to run the first play of the game right to him, right inside the paint. We got to remember all his gifts and all the little stuff that he does for our group on both ends, screening, rebounding, protecting the rim, that he's an incredibly skilled offensive player, and we got to find him more. So thought he imprinted his game, his offensive game from the jump. First couple possessions, he was right there, right inside the charge circle. So we got to do it more. We got to keep him going, keep him growing, keep him getting better.
Coach, there was 6 techs, 2 flagrants, 2 unsportsmanlike technical fouls. How do you wrap your head around that in a game like this?
Oh, well, the unsportsmanlike or whatever, that just happens. But Dwayne, I'm going to say it like this, is like it's incredibly hard to officiate. We know they're a hard-playing team. We know what happened to them in L.A. They know what happened to us the last couple nights. So we knew they'd come out fighting, and they played extremely hard. They're extremely well coached. So it's 2 teams that are just scrapping. You got to earn every single victory in the NBA. We get to a certain point, and this is where the frustration has come from our team this year, as I felt. We play hard. We don't flop. We don't embellish. And when that gets brought into the game, and when we feel that creates frustration for our guys, for me, for all of us. When that gets brought into the game, there's some stuff that it's just hard to overcome. And we got to do better keeping our composure, especially in the fourth quarter. But when that stuff gets brought into it, again, it's extremely hard to officiate, extremely hard to play through some of that. That's where I've felt it. Us the most, when we start to really get frustrated, is when some of the reactions of an action out there, whether it's embellishment or whatever you want to call it, that's what happens. And that's where I saw it tonight. I saw that tonight. So we were able to figure out a way to come out with a victory. But again, great credit to the resilience of this group.
And it's just a quick follow. You've talked before about Dylan, not going over the edge. And tonight he got even closer to now getting suspended, not only for a technical foul, but for a now flagrant foul. Just how are you weighing that with him, conversations with him, and where he's at right now in that situation?
Yeah, it doesn't change. I mean, we need him out there. He knows it. I think to his credit tonight, like that stuff happened in the first half. He had a chance to then do something else there when time right there at the end. He's right in the middle of it because it's a loose ball. It's a loose ball that we're diving on the floor. You see your teammates there. We have multiple guys on the floor to get it. He held his composure, and that's not easy to do. And we know he gets to that edge for the benefit of our group so many times. So I actually turned it into a positive tonight, Dwayne. He easily could have overstepped after that. He found a way to pick himself back up off the floor after all that happened. Stay in tonight's game. But, yeah, we know what's coming, and we got to try to do our best not to let it happen.
Last thing I had was, Mark talked about before after shoot-around, he was like, you guys talked about getting him the ball, getting him more touches. What's it like to actually discuss it and then to see it manifest itself in the game?
I've been around the league for a handful of years, and not every team can do that. And this is repeatedly what our group does. We feel our shoot-arounds are incredibly important. We're a team that comes to shoot-around, comes with the right mindset, comes with the right focus, and then we're able to apply. And this is a group that has not been together very long, and some guys like Mark hasn't played a ton of years in the league. So we're doing it on the fly. I think that shows, that's great for our group. we're going to continue to develop over the course of the year, and it really comes with our mindset coming into the gym. And like Mark doesn't get those passes or those shots without his teammates helping it, and it's a two-way. It's not just on Mark to do those things. It's on us to get him the ball, and then him to come back with some feedback like, hey, I like it here, I want it here, you missed me here. Just having those open lines of communication is what we're trying to build towards.
Jordan, it felt like as far as coverage solutions go versus the tons of switches you saw, Mark was just getting out of there. You feel like that pressure that he was putting on the paint and on the rim just by getting out of those screens into the roll kind of helped to get him to his point total and also to the points in the paint points tonight?
Yeah, Stephen, I think it was a little bit of both. You know, they obviously started in a little bit of aggressive pick and roll coverage, and he was able to find the pocket. So we anticipated some of that where he was in the pocket, and then he was able to get behind the defense. And when you're 7-2 and X5 is up the floor in an aggressive coverage defense, usually there's a smaller guy back there. So just being patient when he does get in the pocket, when he gets in the paint, knowing that he can always get to the rim if needed. So that started the game. And then against the Reds, that's a solution that we have. You know, obviously we'd love to flip it, get behind the defense, low angle the best we can. But as we sprint out, not only is we put him on the rim, but hopefully it creates a driving vacuum or a gap that we can get to. And then at worst case, we can throw it behind us and then seal or put them right there at the charge circle. And then the last piece, get to the offensive glass. That's some of the solutions against Reds or against switches that we need to find. We definitely discussed, and he was able to apply it tonight.
And then to the defensive end, you talked about an emphasis on creating turnovers, 20 turnovers for us tonight. The multiple efforts, it felt like every time there was a loose ball, there was like two of your guys on the floor, and that was across 7 different lineups tonight. That kind of multiple effort layer of your defense, how have you seen that grow to something that you can not just rely on, but honestly even expect on a nightly basis?
We talked about another thing. Like, we just didn't turn them over in the first game in Brooklyn. And a credit to them of handling our pressure. I do think at times our pressure, I felt right off the bat, our pressure was on point. Some of that's what Goody does every single night. He just started tonight and brought the juice. So we got to find it. We got to find it across all 7, 10, 12, how many ever lineups we have. It's got to be the consistent pickup points, consistent pressure. They're a little unique because they throw it to their 5s, and Claxton's really good at handling all that pressure. But there has to be a way on all nights that we bring that pressure, and that's just part of who we are, part of our DNA.
Coach, going back to sort of that scuffle in the fourth, when the guys go back to the huddle, even when tensions are high, what are you saying, or what is the coaching staff saying to sort of try and calm those guys down and sort of get the emotions in check?
I mean, they're professionals. I think it's more awareness of how they're reacting to it all. Once you get back to the bench in a couple seconds, they're pretty cooled off. And then it's situation. I think there's 1:14 on the clock, jump ball, 14-second shot clock, obviously, if they got the jump ball. A unique situation where Williams couldn't re-enter the game, so we had to sub a guy in. I've never seen that. Sub a guy in. We got the pick who jumped for them. And then I thought Bouye did a good job winning the jump ball. So we were just thinking situationally after that, what exactly we want to do, how can we help our group, and who we wanted in the game at that time. Because you get down to some of those decisions, and you're trying to think about all the scenarios, but it's really who's in the game that can best help you win the game.
And then you mentioned with Mark just getting him in that rhythm early, but for you specifically, how do you sort of balance trying to get a guy like him in rhythm, get those paint touches, but still keeping the offense, flowing?
Just high-value shots. We're just looking for high-quality, high-value shots. We knew at time that they would definitely switch, especially with their second unit. We thought 1 through 5 that they would switch, which they did get to. And then we got to involve Mark more. I think that's not just a one-game thing, especially after the Miami game. How can you get into the paint, especially against a switching defense? We got to find him. We got to find him. He's got to use this to develop. It's all part of his growth. And his growth is really going to help us going forward on some of these teams that want to switch. If Book is out there or Jalen's out there, it's a little harder to switch. So we could see this going forward. Hopefully tonight put some fear in some coverages going forward, but we're going to need him. We're going to need him every single night. His presence on both ends is massive to our success.
Last two, Barry Hill.
Getting back to the offense, you knew that you're going to have knew 2 guards were going to be out and probably 3. So didn't you, as coaches, you had to make an adjustment in your offense wasn't what you did tonight going into the paint, an adjustment that was off of the fact that 3 of your shooting guards were out?
I think we got to involve Mark no matter what. Obviously,
I understand that,
yeah.
but for this particular
Barry,
game.
to be honest, Colin, we didn't know. We didn't know until game time. So, shoot around, we obviously knew he was going to try to play. Bouyer's just coming back kind of into our rotation. And Grayson, if we think about it, hasn't played that position very much. Usually Colin Book is out there with them. So, yeah, you're trying to do as much as you can from the information you have, but we're talking 30 or 35 minutes on the court. This is part of our system. We just have to get it better. Not only tonight, we have to involve Mark. This is something that we'll definitely talk about going forward. Even when we are fully healthy, Mark's got to be a presence down there.
I lost track of the reviews, but I think it was with like 3:20 left. There was one, and you and Grayson had a conversation. What was that about, and what were you instilling into him throughout the game?
Do not run to the corner anymore. Go get the ball. He's such a soldier, and you run into these habits of, well, someone needs to fill the corner, and not tonight. He's such a team player. He wants to do what's right. He wants to fill space. I had seen enough, and he reiterated he needs someone to fill the corner, and I said, we'll figure out someone else that can do that. So.
And for him to have a few mistakes, have a few missed shots, but to have the confidence to drive there in that deciding possession on the step through, just what it says about him as a player.
Yeah, massive. I think, you guys have picked up on his driving ability over the course of the season. He's unique. He has the gravity that can space it as far as anyone in the league, and then the power and the first step to get by people. And, there's some decision-making in the paint that's not always easy. He falls on the floor. He gets there. There's some development pieces that we've been working with him there, but his ability to drive changes our offense, changes the dynamic when we're healthy or when nights like tonight. We absolutely need his paint presence. So yeah, it's just a piece that we're going to continue to harp on, and we definitely needed it tonight, especially there in the game.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
We'll have Mark Williams in here. Locker room's open to your